Wow, beautiful women by my side. Please let's give them a round of applause again. Thank you, guys. All right, so this is a conversation that I am very excited about because it's about two things I'm very passionate about, and that's women and finance. And this panel is titled Your Own Money, right? So it's a conversation tilted mostly towards women, but that doesn't mean men cannot also learn a thing or two or, learn something that they can share with the women in their lives. But yeah, just tilted towards women. So I'm joined by these very beautiful, trailblazing women who are doing excellent and amazing things in their careers and profession and business. So I'm very sure that they'll be teaching us a lot and sharing a lot of, impactful things with us today. But before I start, I'd like to do something very quickly. Please, can all the women in the room raise their hands? Very quickly, very quickly. All right, good. So if you just keep your hands up, please. Keep your hands up for me. Thank you. So if you've ever had to lie about the amount you bought something because you don't want to be judged, can you put a finger down? All right. If you've also ever had to dim your lights in your career, at work, or in school, or at home because you don't want to be seen as an oversabi, can you put a finger down? If you've also been afraid to charge for something that you think you're worth at work or to negotiate for a higher salary because you think they will not give it to you, can you put a finger down? Wow, I'm seeing fingers down. No. All right, thank you. You can put your hands down now. So that's just a little exercise to give us an insight into what this conversation is mostly going to be about. All right, so to my beautiful panelists, I'll start with Seike. Can you tell us what having agency as a woman truly means?
Okay. Oh, wow, I can hear myself too. Okay, you guys can hear me. Hi, everyone. To me, having agency means being able to have control over money. First of all, being able to have money, first of all. Then having control over money, being able to do whatever you want to do with your money, the money you have, the money you've worked for, right? And being able to make independent decisions because you have the money to do that. That's what I think agency is.
Lovely, lovely. Ibi.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
This is so trippy. Okay, so what does agency mean? Agency means freedom, like literally. It means like to be able to cause something to happen. You can't make anything happen if you don't have your own money. Other people decide what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. So as a woman, for me, agency just means the freedom to be the one in the driver's seat. Like, no, I'm making this decision because I have the money to make that decision. And that became very clear to me when I had graduated from university. So you know how you go from like students to unemployed. And then I moved back in with my parents, and I was living in my parents' house. I had been living by myself all those years I was in uni. Come back into my parents' house, and all of a sudden they start telling me what kind of job I should have, what I should wear, when I should go out, when I should come back, what car I can and cannot drive. And then my dad was like, now, you're in my house, you're spending my money, you're eating my food. When you have your own, you do your own. So like that flipped the switch in my brain. I was like, oh, I need to like have my own money so I can make my own decisions.
Lovely, lovely. So Abby just shared what switched it for her. Chike, can you tell us what switched it for you? At what point did you realize how important agency is?
I think for me, so NYC was it for me. I served in Abuja and I served in civil service. National Agency for Control of AIDS. A parastatal, a really good parastatal that attracted like solid professionals. And there were different types of people, right? The people that had money, the women that had money, the directors, the program coordinators that had money looked different, communicated differently from the people that not really have money, right? And I was lucky enough to work with some of the product directors, right? Some of the program directors. So for context, National Agency for Control of AIDS, they come up with policies to reduce the prevalence of HIV/AIDS in the country, and then they work with different groups of people. So mother and children, the sex workers. They worked with a range of people. And I would go for meetings with some of the directors and female women, actually. rich women, right? They lived well. I could tell that, this work they're doing, they were passionate about it. And I'm like, okay, I really need to figure out I need, what I want to do in my life, how I want to make money. And that landed me to returning to Lagos because I didn't think that civil service would give me money.
So basically, seeing women that were in positions that you wanted to be in inspired you.
Yes, exactly.
Lovely. All right. So my next question for you is around the stereotypes. And I'm speaking to Seike now. So you know how women taught mostly to nurture, to raise, to keep the household, to keep things together, but rarely taught to own something, right? So living in a society where we have these stereotypes and this expectation of women, and you being a woman of agency and having ownership of certain things, doing things, making your own money, have you been able to navigate it, basically?
For me, I guess I'm lucky enough. I didn't experience it with my family, my immediate family. The extended family, they were not really close to me that much to make such an impact. But I didn't really experience it. But as soon as I stepped out of the house and I spoke to, people, so for my auntie had a shop, right? And we would stay in the shop to help her sell at different points in times. And the men would come to the shop, right? And be saying, oh, what are you doing? Ah, you're done with NYC now. Ah, you don't want to marry. In fact, one was trying to marry me. It was too funny. And when they ask me what I want to do, I'll tell them, oh, this. And I took the questions seriously, right? Because I genuinely thought that they were, interested in hearing me out, right? NYC guidance, you've been there, you've done that, you're working and you're in the world. And they would just make interesting comments, right? And even women too. Some women were complicit. I quickly had to tune my mind. Like I really had to tell myself, this is what I want, and I should be open to experimenting before I arrive to where I want to get to, right? And I guess, I grew up in a house full of girls. My uncle is an accountant, so he would literally drive home the need for hard work and have your own money, and you should be able to do this. So also having that backing from home helped me just repel and push back against like the thoughts from external people who felt like I should be doing something different.
Lovely. So you were loved at home,
Yes.
basically. Please, a round of applause for our parents. All right. So my next question, and I'm directing this to you, Ibi, because you mentioned something about your dad, right? So you know how having your own money can cause a lot of tension and friction when you want to make your own decisions, right? So has there been any point or various points in your life where your financial independence has caused friction in your family, relationships, friendships? Talk to us about it.
Okay, so the answer is no, but that's because I was very intentional about it. So I strongly believe that, especially in Nigeria, and so for context, I'm the first daughter. I have 4 younger siblings. First daughter, first granddaughter, first everything, right? I think that there's a lot of wisdom to be applied. Like till today, none of my family know how much money I have, whether I have money, whether I don't have money. I think that especially when it comes to family and friends, not everybody needs to know the extent of your financial capabilities. You have to just curb your enthusiasm to flex. Like there's some bags I can never carry around my family members.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that, in terms of family and friends, no, never. And when my sister got her first big girl job in London, I told her, I said, no matter what you do, don't tell anybody how much you make. She didn't answer me. She was excited. She was boasting. The bills that have landed on her head. So I think that there's a lot of wisdom to be applied. You're doing well, be happy for yourself, support people where you can, but there's no upside to anybody knowing exactly how much money you have, trust me. And like the Bible says, if you are giving, don't let your left hand know. Nobody needs to know how much you give, just, relax. When it comes to like romantic relationships, again, no, I've been quite lucky in that, like my husband is really supportive and also he earns way more than me. So I've never really had that, but I think that when you're dating, it's very important to be, look for like the red flags in somebody who's going to be stressed if you have any kind of financial independence or if you have money.
Lovely, lovely. A round of applause for our husband. one thing I picked that she said there's no upside to letting people know how much you earn. There's no upside, though. They will bill you, and I agree 100%. All right, so Ivy, I want to talk about the workplace now. And not just, I don't want people to think I'm just referring to offices. So when I say workplace, I'm also talking about businesses. If you run a business or you are working with a business in a shop or whatever the case may be. So in the workplace, have there been times where you had to stand up for yourself or speak up to enforce your thinking or your opinion?
I'm always speaking up. I don't know how to speak softly.
Speak down.
I can't suffer in silence, though my voice is always heard. I guess to answer your question, like everything that I've ever done when I was in my 9 to 5 and in my business, it has always been as a result of me speaking up and like just kind of being bold. So in my 9 to 5, I wanted a promotion, like a senior role had just opened up. I'd only been in the company for 10 months. And we did a performance review. I got it was a good performance review. And I said to my manager, look, this role that opened up, I want it. And he kind of laughed a bit. He was like this baby, she just got here, like, calm down. But anyway, joke was on him because 3 months later, I got the promotion.
Wow.
And that was, in that place, he had said to me that nobody gets promoted for 2 years. Like, you just got here, like, relax, your time will come kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they gave me the promotion. And I just believe that if you don't ask, you don't get. When I started Money Start, this was 2 years ago. So my business is called Money Start. So a financial advisory, financial planning company. I had just literally came out of nowhere. Like, I started the business, it had been 6 months. And I walked into the biggest asset managers in Lagos. And I was like, I have a following of X thousands of millennials and Gen Zs. Let me help them invest their money with you. I thought I was going to be laughed at, but all of them said yes.
You walked into...
I literally just went there and asked them.
Please just clap for her.
And people said yes. So you'll be surprised like what you get when you just go. And when you're asking people for something, like, back yourself. So like, even if you don't believe what you're saying, just make sure that they believe it.
Yeah, so always
just
ask.
be confident.
Always ask. The
ask and be
worst thing
confident.
they can say is no. I don't know if you know Tosin Olateni. She always says this thing. Ask. The worst thing they can say is no. They'll just say no. So always ask. Chike, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, quite the opposite of Ibi. I used to be timid. I used to be quiet. I used to take I assumed people would always have good intentions. Right. And while I experienced that in like the latter part of my career, the early part of my career, I didn't really experience that. Right. So I think early on, I would go into those conversations with my notepad. Right. I would have drafted what I want to say, how I want to say it, so that it doesn't sound like being too entitled. Like and then when I'm delivering, I'll literally be shaking. Right. But then as I took on more responsibilities and I became very, very comfortable in what I can do, right? I knew what I was capable of. I knew the value I was delivering. I became bold with my ask, right? Now, there are times when like these two things, right, are not... There are times where they are not mutually exclusive. It can be that you're good at what you do, but you don't just know how to communicate, right? What I would say is, at any point in time, if you feel a certain thing, like if you feel like I deserve more, I'm taking on a lot, right? I deserve more money, right? I would say maybe if you have a friend that is good, really good at communicating their needs, talk to them first, right? Talk to them, speak to them, tell them this is what you're thinking, this is how you're thinking of approaching this conversation. Let them give you some advice. Let them give you some confidence, and then go into that conversation confident, go in with your points, right? Quantify your work. This way, it becomes very clear why they are saying no, right? And then you are able to then have that conversation and say, okay, you are saying no because of X, Y, Z. Is that correct? And then we'll see who the joke is on.
I like that. I like that. So what they're essentially telling us is don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to speak up. As long as you know your worth. And I just want to say, before you can know your worth, you actually have to have worth, right? You have to bring something to the table. So have value. Now, I mean, you mentioned something about your business, right? Running Money Starts. I want you to tell us some things that are often overlooked in running businesses as women.
Can you break down the question a bit more? Because
All
there's
right, all right. What are some things that are not discussed enough or often overlooked in
as
businesses?
as a as a business owner or as
Yeah,
a
as a business owner.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think that people don't realize that running a business, if you want to be personally enriched very fast, if you just want to be the boss, if you want people to clap for you and be like, wow, you're such a big bad boss lady, um, it's not as glamorous as it looks. So if those are your three primary reasons for wanting to go into business, I would say don't go into business. People underestimate I would say like the financial risk that comes with it. So even before you leave your job to start a business, it's always good practice, especially if you don't have a safety net, so you don't have like, relatives that you can fall back on. To have like a year and a half really of savings before you go into business. Because chances are your business may not be profitable in the first day, month, or even year. You don't want to put pressure on your business to fund your life from the beginning, especially if you want to build something that is going to last. If you want to, be your own boss, it's kind of funny because technically you be your own boss, but you'll be working more than you work in your 9 to 5 because you're not only working for your customers, you're working for your team members, you're working for if you took money from people, the people that invested in you. So it's so much more work. Being your own boss is not as glamorous as people may think. So in my 9 to 5, at 5 p.m., no matter what was happening, if the company can be burning, I'll just close my laptop. Now, 7 a.m., 10 p.m., 2 a.m., weekends, public holidays, it doesn't matter. I'm on a plane, I'm on Wi-Fi. So I think that something that people overlook is it will not be easier. So you have to care a lot about it. Don't go into it wanting to be personally enriched from day one. And don't go into it because of what you can get. Think about what you're trying to do and what you want to build and what you want your impact or legacy to be. That's the only way to build a business that will last because otherwise you'll just be tired, you'll be annoyed, you'll burn out, and you just run back to your 9 to 5.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So basically, legacy and impact. Build something for impact. Lovely. All right. So we've talked a lot about money, having your money, why it's important, how to run a business properly. Now I want to talk about how to preserve that money, right? Because preserving money is a lot harder than making it, in my opinion. Or I think I think if you have money and you're not preserving it, it's a lot harder to preserve money. So I want to ask you, Sheikh, what are the systems that you have put in place currently to preserve the money that you're making?
Thank God Ibi is here. I'll not disgrace her. um, so I think first of all, like early on from when I started working, I believed so much in saving, right? So it was great that when I started working and I wanted to start saving, Piggyvest, you know, went live, right? I was working in a payment company and then, they were like, oh, savings and this is the app. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't mind trying this out. So I've always been saving, right? And of course, from savings, you then start to invest, right? It also helps that when you're saving and you're getting interest, you are making more money progressively, right, on what you're saving, and then you can then diversify afterwards. So I've always been into savings, right? And then I started to look into investing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a high risk person, right? I'm fine with the gradual process of growing my money, right? So what are the things what are the things, or what things should I put my money into, right? So I started looking into investments, figuring out the investment that match my appetite, right? And I landed at like other apps, right? That I currently use. And I guess that has served me for like the first 11 years of my life. Right now, I'm at a stage where I want to take it a notch higher, right? This can no longer depend on me and my appetite. So who can push me? Who can push me? Who can force me to think differently about my money and not be too safe, right? And I had the conversation with my husband. We had a chat, and then I ran to EB. right? And so I would say at the very beginning, find a very reliable instrument to, save your money and test out investments that are within your risk appetite. And then you monitor and you monitor from there and see which one serves you and which one doesn't.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So you mentioned something about starting out in investments, diversifying after you've saved for a period of time. Can you give us some specifics in terms of assets that you held or you got into?
I would say real estate. That's like my go-to medium risk. No real estate as far we are buying house, so
I understand.
okay, cool. I mean, like real estate. I don't know if you know Rise Vest, right? But they have that plan, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? They have fixed income, they have real estate, and real estate was medium risk, and it looked perfect for me. It felt like I would get this percentage or slightly less than that in a year, and I wouldn't lose as much because again when you're investing you also need to think about the fact that you may lose money, right? That's number one. So real estate. I dabbled into startup investment as well, right? Again, my friends starting businesses, starting companies, I've worked with them, I know what they're capable of, I can bet on them, right? I didn't do much of that. It is high risk because your money can disappear. But if you are willing to bet on a friend or a family member that is trustworthy and has shown grit and is resilient and the business idea speaks to you, invest. Again, I feel like investment is more passion driven, right?
Yeah.
It's more passion driven. Like you want to see this business thrive. This business deserves to exist. How do I contribute to that? Right. Yeah, those are my that's what kept me for years. And of course, on PiggyVest there is a safe lock, there are multiple things that mimics.
All right. All right. Please let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. She said something. She said, perfect for me. So investment is very personal. But let's Ibi speak more to that. Ibi, can you tell us practical ways that women can start thinking about investing? All right. I'm talking about women that are that have businesses or are in early stages in their career and are earning something. What are practical steps they can take? Thank you.
Yeah, so I would like to start my answer by saying that women should think like men. Like, I don't like separating this how women should, how men should. More women need to think like men when it comes to investing our money. That is the truth. That's why women don't make as much money. Because most women, so like in my business, in terms of our clients, 98% of the time, all the women we talk to are low risk. Some maybe low to medium risk. All of the men are medium or medium to high. And what that means in terms of the amount of money you can make, it is a gigantic difference. It can be the difference between you making 6% and the difference between you making 56%. So I don't like separating like this, how should women think? And I would like all the women here to get that out of your mind. You as a woman are not disadvantaged when it comes to investing. There's no how should I as a woman. How should you as a human being that wants to make money think about investing? That's how we're doing this. First of all, understand what is how much risk are you willing to take? Like I said, I know that most women will say low risk, you don't want to lose money, we're scared of losing money because to us, money is like security. Okay, that's your security, that's the thing that's going to keep you safe. As opposed to men who would think about it as a tool that's going to get them to where they were trying to go. So I'm not saying that you need to change your mindset. It would be great if you did. But okay, if you are low to medium risk, start with something that you will get your initial capital back. So for example, something Seike mentioned, safe lock or something like a fixed deposit, certificate of deposit. Start there so that you know that you get your initial money back so you won't lose it, but your return on that is going to be tiny. Very, very, very small. It's not going to change your life. Something like that will not make you rich. That will just help you hold the position you are at. So I want to be very clear. If you are in a fixed deposit, safe lock, certificates of deposit, that is not what is going to buy you a car, buy you a plane ticket. It's not what's going to send your children to school. That's going to just keep you at where you are. So it will preserve your wealth. If you now actually want to make money, you need to start going up the ladder in terms of investment asset classes as it comes to risk. So I said start at the bottom because you want to keep a portion of your portfolio safe. Then you want to now start moving up. So in terms of moving up, you can think of things like equity funds. So instead of individual stock picking, which is even more risky, get an equity fund. That's the next level. Then you can do individual stocks. On the same level as equity funds, I would say you could do bonds, but if you already have a fixed deposit product, personally, I wouldn't bother. Then diversify. Look at things like commodities. How can you get invested in commodities? Look at things like real estate. So you don't need to go out and buy a house, but there are different ways you can invest in real estate. There's things called real estate investment trust, which is basically what Rice Vest sells. So and other companies as well. So look at how you can get into real estate because real estate acts differently to the stock market. So if something is happening there, it's not going to affect your real estate portfolio. Then you can go into things that are even more risky. So like Seike said, investing in startups is very risky. I would not recommend it if you have not been investing for like 4 years or 5 years, or if you don't already have significant portion. I love cryptocurrency. I think that is where most people in our generation are going to make significant wealth, as in you put in a small amount and you can get an outsized return, but you need to know what you're doing. Follow money starts. That's all I'll say. Like in terms of you
Follow
need to know
Money
what you're
Starts.
doing, just follow money starts. Like at Money Start Cool. That's my business. This is what we do. So to round up, there's no how women should think. We want to also have money. Think like a man. Okay. Think that you want to make money. You're not at a disadvantage. Start small. Start with something that preserves your capital and then go up the ladder. So don't put 500K, 100K in your fixed deposit or your safe lock, and that's all you do for the next 5 years. Nothing is going to change in your life. You'll just be okay. Every year, do something new, go up, go up, go up, go up. So that's my advice.
Thank you so much. Please let's give a round of applause. That was very impactful. Please also follow Money Starts. I think educating yourself is also very important because you cannot learn everything here in one day. It's not possible. So follow Money Starts and prioritize your financial literacy. All right, just before questions, I just have one more questions for both of them. So take care. What's one lesson or something that you would just a sentence or a lesson that you leave with us here today?
I think when it comes to money, women feel weird about talking about money, right? But then you have friends that are doing big things. Talk to your friends, ask them how they are making money. Like, I think when men gather, they're talking about money. Ah, guy, how far this thing? I did think this, I did reason this one, I did do that one. You and your friends sit down as part of your conversation, talk about money. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm putting my money. This is the risk of this. This is the risk of that. This is how I'm thinking about money. This is how I'm thinking about like money in the next 2 years, next 1 year. Talk to your friends about money and plan your money. Like you want to be rich, you want to be okay. Have goals for every stage of your life. And even if it's tied to vanity things, I want to be able to buy Chanel bag in the next 2 years. Have that goal and figure out how to get your money up. Because if you can get your money up to buy Chanel bag of 5K, 6K or Jimmy Choo of how you means that you are capable of making more money. Like even if it's tied to vanity things, test it, right? And like go from there.
Thank you, Seike. Thank you so much. Ibi.
So like Seike said, definitely talk to your friends. Part of why I started Money Start was I wanted to, when I realized I had been working in corporate finance for like 4 years and I was still kind of broke. So I was like, okay, like some of my friends must have this figured out. I started talking to my friends. I was like, wow, none of us know what we're doing. So like by talking about it, you learn more, you inspire other people to do more. So definitely start talking to your friends about it. So as you join the Money Start community, that's all we talk about. But I would say that knowledge, like try and learn as much as possible. And I don't just mean about finance and financial things. Like obviously everybody here came to this Naira Life Conference to learn. But I would say first of all, know yourself. Like you can lie to your friends, you can lie to your family, but know yourself. Know what your mindset is towards money. You need to let go of like your childhood trauma, your negative beliefs around money, your limiting thoughts. Like write them down so that you know where, essentially you have key leg. Because you're not going to be able to progress in your actual finances if you're in the same place mentally. So first of all, know yourself so that everything that you learn, you can apply. And essentially what I mean is that when you are stuck in a financial mindset, you can only see within that mindset, right? So you need to be able to make sure that you can. So like, for example, when I tell people that, okay, put this money into this asset, some people will freak out because they are so used to just hoarding onto every single Naira because they don't believe that that money is going to come back to them. And that's just going to hold you back. I would say learn as much as possible about yourself and learn as much as possible about money so you can apply what you've learned to yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ibi. Please let's give them a big, big round of applause. Have you learned something? If you've learned something, please clap for them. All right, so we'll be opening the floor for questions now. We have about 5 minutes or less, actually. All right. Who? Any questions? Here. Somebody here. I'm here. Oh, okay. All right, somebody's coming. Let's clap for her, please.
Anybody from there? We've not had anybody. Does anybody have a question from there? Nobody. Okay. So three of you can come.
Hello, good
Hello,
afternoon.
hi, good afternoon.
Thank you. The session was really insightful.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask, if you don't have any idea on where to invest, you just start making money, just start working for yourself, what is the best place to start when you want to invest? You don't have any idea on anything. You don't know what to research about. So where exactly do you start if you're beginning?
Thank you. I think, Ibi, would you like to take that?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that in two parts. So in terms of actually where, like in terms of what platform, and then where in terms of what asset. So where in terms of what asset, like I said, look for something that's a fixed deposit. So by fixed deposits, it just means that when you're making the investment, they will tell you that, okay, at the end of a specific period, whether it's 6 months or 1 year, you will get this amount in return. Something like that is a fantastic place to start. In terms of where to start, luckily for us, there are so many fantastic fintech platforms. You can do it on Piggyvest. Actually, I would say Piggyvest since they're sponsoring because they actually have great products. So definitely, go to Piggyvest and just look for something that locks your money away for a specific amount of time, and they tell you exactly how much you get in return, and do that. So that's a great place to start whilst you're learning.
All right. Does that answer your question? All right, lovely. Next person.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is
afternoon.
Oluwatobi Adeyemi. And so my question goes to us, Oluwatobi Adeyemi, yes. So my question goes to us, what if you've started earning a little and then, according to your advice, EP, my family kind of know, they know what I earn and there's some kind of expectation. You see my mommy asking me how much your salary, my daddy asking me, and then they be like, my elder sister be like, you are collecting money. So do you already have an idea? And there's this kind of pressure. Even my friends, like they see me buying like a phone. I'm like, oh, Toby has money. Come and lend me something. So they already know. How can I reduce this? Because it won't shock me. Like at times it could be shocking. And how can I reduce this pressure? And how can I kind of keep my finances to myself? Like I don't flaunt, but people just assume basically. So I think that's the question.
Complain loudly. Oh my days, these people in my office, they are so useless. They haven't even paid my salary. In fact, they reduced my salary. Oh my God. Complain loud, like complain. That's what I will be like, oh my God, this economy is so hard.
I don't have money.
Complain from morning till night.
I didn't see that coming.
Actually.
Yeah, I definitely agree with lying. Yeah, I do agree with that. And not because how do I put this now? Okay, on a more serious note, start from lying. But on onto other things, right? You now need to be prudent. Budget your generosity. Be prudent with it, right? This is what you can give, this is what you can give. In fact, on some months, reduce it. And say, I know that I'm giving you this money, but I won't be, because this, that, the transportation cost has increased. So that you're recalibrating their thoughts. You're recalibrating their thoughts towards your own money. And you are trying to push back on them being entitled to your own money. And once you're able to do that, you're able to put your own money to good use for your own life.
Yeah, definitely agree. Also, you can't give what you don't have. So you have to preserve what you have for you to be able to help them. I hope they were able to answer your questions.
And don't feel bad about it, because eventually, the better you do, when you are in a more solid financial place, the more you'll be able to do for that. There's no sense in all of you being broke at the end of the day.
Exactly. Thank you, guys. Next question.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that session. That was very insightful. I'm trying to follow Money Start on social media. I'm not seeing your handle there.
At Money Start _ CO. So at Money Start _ co.
CO.
Yeah, CO.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
I love it. There's somebody to help out. The team is here.
Yeah, Money
okay.
Start team is here.
Shout out to Money Start team. We see you. Thank you for being here. Somebody else said shout out. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you very much. It has been interesting so far.
Thank you.
My question is, do you talk about financings during talking stage or when the relationship starts? if your prospective partner is a frivolous spender, do you address it during the talking stage? And most importantly, how do you address it without them feeling insecure or upset? You know, people have certain insecurities about money. So how do you talk about finances without bringing out the insecure part and the guilty part? Thank
All
you.
right. I would like both of them to answer, but Seike, can you go first?
Yes, talk about money. Okay. I think it gets to a point on the talking stage. It gets to a point in the talking stage where you get a sense of seriousness, right? Of course, at the beginning when you are chatting, oh hi, you're going to talk about like a wide range of things. So work, career. You might even bant about work stress, right? In those types of conversation, you can get signals, right? You hear the company this person works for, signal number one. You hear their role, signal number two. You can get a range of how much they earn, right? And then when you now start talking about other things, lifestyle, what they like, right? What they would die for, right? Signal number two. So you are picking up like all these tiny, tiny signals while you're chit-chatting. Now, when you now get to a point where it is serious, I think me and my husband, we had one-on-ones on a more serious note. It's like, okay, this is how I think about money. Because, at that time, my approach to money was more from a place of fear. Even if I was making more, I was making more money every year. Like, I was working hard and I was making more money. But I was still approaching it from a place of fear, and he did not, right? So we talked about money, and we're transparent about the range of how much we earn. It was in marriage, we knew how much we were earning as per. And that's our own preference. Your own can be different, right? But yes, you talk about money, you have one-on-ones, have specific questions. I don't know if the person is insecure about that conversation, then I'm not
red flag.
really
Is it a red flag?
sure.
That is even tomato flag.
I'm not really
That one
sure.
don't pass
Burgundy
red.
flag.
though. That is the blood of Jesus
And this
flag.
is you even being empathetic in the conversation. Of course, you're not going to the conversation to bash them. Your questions are phrased in a certain way. You know exactly what you're looking out for in the answers they're giving to you. So if they are being too defensive and too insecure, no matter how you phrase the question to make them feel comfortable, then that's a red flag.
All right. Thank you so much, Seike.
Yeah,
Ibi.
thanks, Shika. In the talking stage, or getting to know each other, dating, I would say the things to look out for are just values and alignment. So I think it's a bit early to start talking about how much money do you have, how much money do you have. Look for somebody who shares your values and that there's alignment in your values. They don't have to be exactly the same, but they can be aligned. Because even if you are dating somebody that has a lot of money, they might have vastly different ideas on how money should be spent. They can be somebody that doesn't agree on, believe in holidays or believe in eating imported cereal. That's a real problem that somebody came to me that her husband does not believe in eating imported cereal, like Cocoa Pops and cereal and all these things. So I think that values and alignment in talking stage, and then when it gets clear that you want to get married, you want to build a life with each other, at that point, and you now need to start having more serious conversations of okay, what range do you earn? What is your financial capability? Do you have any debt? Where are we in terms of assets and merging assets? So I think that conversation, deeper conversation comes when you're okay, we're about to join our lives together. So I have to know. So for me, I did values and alignment when I was dating. When we were getting engaged, it was put everything on the table, because really and truly, you're not just marrying because of love. You're marrying your problems become somebody else's problem. So you really need to know. You don't want to be shocked by that in marriage, because the number one reason that marriage break up is because of money, right? So it's super important.
Thank you so much, Ibi. I hope they were able to answer your questions. Lovely, lovely. Please let's give them a big, big round of applause.
And with that, we've officially come to the end of this session. Can we give them a round of applause?